Hi guys, we're back. The way that I've been putting off recording this first episode, I don't even know. Well, I guess it is kind of like a little bit intimidating, hey, like doing an episode by yourself. And I just had so many things on my mind that I wanted to talk about that I've kind of been like, where do I even start from? But let's just jump into it. I feel like something about this season. Welcome to season 3. Wow, I'm kind of all over the place. Welcome to season 3. I'm really excited. I've been just kind of like chipping away the past a couple of months at this. Actually, I think I'm going to take my glasses off because I feel like it's like glary, and if you're watching this video, I feel like you want to see my eyes, right? Anyways, I've been chipping away at this season since kind of like end of last year. I know that I say this every season, but yeah, I'm giving myself 10 weeks for, I don't quite know how long this season is going to be, but I'm giving myself like 10 weeks to just be like really like consistent. So you can count on me, I'm saying that here, to come every Monday, which is like Australian time. I'll be dropping this in the AM. But yeah, you can count on me for a new episode. It's going to be like the same thing as last time in terms of like alternating week by week of me doing a solo episode and then me having a guest on. And all the guests that I've had so far, I've interviewed so far, I've just loved the episodes, and yeah, I'm just feeling really, really excited. But so guys, this January, I took kind of like, I say that I took a break from social media, but I remember saying that to like one of my friends who like barely uses Instagram also, and he looked at me and he was like, what? Like, I'm pretty sure you were posting. But hear me out. I feel like this January and kind of like New Year's period, I was doing a lot of reflecting. I really just like kind of like sat with myself. And the thing about me is that I can get very, don't want to sound like a knob, but I can get very like introspective. I think sometimes what I'm coming to realize is that sometimes it's not good for me to have too much time on my hand to think about like life. I know, like, stay with me. I think that sometimes I just get into very much so a spiral. So it means that I literally like deepen everything. Like, I'll pick up a mug and I'll be like, oh my God, this mug. This person gave me this mug this time. And then I'll like think about that time period. And so January, I really took some time off. I was mainly just like with friends, like at home, chilling. And then I got really, and I always feel this way, but I got really weirded out about being perceived. But the thing is, I'm not even a celebrity. Like I'm literally like I'm Cynthia. You know what I mean? Like, I obviously have platforms where I definitely share a lot of my life on social media, but it's like you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a celebrity, but I think for me, I've always had this very push and pull relationship with socials. I kind of fell into doing socials. Like, I quite literally just like fell into it. It's something that just kind of happened. But before I had a following, definitely when I was at university, I constantly was like, for me, like, I kind of was always just like gunning to do modeling and acting. And I used my social media as a way to kind of like spread that word out there. And I remember when I was at university, my very first internship was at this like underwear company. I'm still like loosely in contact with the owner, and she's so lovely. Anyways, and at the time I was studying public relations, and me being me, I was like, I've got to get an internship. I've got to do this. Like, anyways, I got this internship, and I remember the owner of the brand, like telling me about Instagram. And at the time, like I knew of Instagram, but it was like such early days that I feel like back then didn't really know like what it would be now. And I remember at the time, like I needed to like make a marketing plan or something for social media of like how we were going to use Pinterest and Instagram and like Facebook and like all of this stuff. And I remember her so specifically being like, you should get Instagram. And I was always kind of like, or back then I was always like against it. I think that I just was a bit like, but like, what would I share about my life? Like who really cares about my life, And then as I kept working for her and I got more into fashion, naturally, I just like, used Instagram quite a bit. And then I went on student exchange, and then I loved the app so much because I would like document my travels, and then I started a blog, and I just felt this like freedom before I had followers, like before I was like monetizing my platform. And even that is a whole other thing, that it felt like this digital diary. And I also think that, back then, like it was such the beginning, that like, I think like the first kind of social media apps when I was like in high school, it was like obviously Facebook. And the most exciting thing at the time was like how many friends you had on Facebook. Like, do you guys remember when they would like, what was it, that ad that they had? It was like, all your friends on Facebook that you can make friends on Facebook or something like that, or you can go to their houses and like knock on their door. I can't remember, but I remember back in the early days, Facebook had this like ad thing about like making friends on Facebook. And so, being in high school, like that was something that was like cool to connect. And I remember that I would connect with people from like different schools and stuff, or people that I would meet out. So everything just felt, really light. And I think we were at a stage in time where people just like wanted to share their lives because it was this like really new app, you know what I mean? And I even remember like MySpace, like posting like what music I was into, like all of that. Like it all just felt so fun and light. And then cut forward, like now that, social media is actually quite a big part of my work, and I kind of just like fell into it. I think at the heart, I've always been a creator. I've always loved creating, like things through fashion and connecting with people through that. And yeah, like I think very early on in my like modeling and even like doing acting, I kind of saw the strength in using social media to like promote myself. But in January, I don't know. But then again, I feel like I was like rethinking every single aspect in my life, because last year was so freaking, last year was just last year. I really just in January was just getting in my head about posting online, about putting so much like pressure on myself, I guess, to be like hitting numbers, to be creating like new content, and then also in terms then getting overwhelmed and not doing anything, if that makes sense. I think as social media grows, and now it's basically like almost everyone has some kind of social media platform, like whether it's Facebook, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Instagram, like, whatever it is. But I feel myself putting people on a pedestal who kind of don't use social media. I feel like when social media first started, we kind of went so far the other way of constantly wanting to share, like, what we're eating, what we're wearing, where we're going, who we're friends with, like whatever it is. And it was fun, especially like, being in high school or like in your early 20s or wherever you were at, that it just was like, it felt like a game. Yeah, it felt like a game, and it felt so incredibly fun. Guys, I literally just took like an hour break because I started to feel like overstimulated about this topic. I will just preface by saying that this is not the most important topic in the world. There are so many other things happening there, but I want to be able to use this platform and this space to, I guess, just let you into my brain and things that like come up. You know what I mean? But yeah, anyways, I just got very overwhelmed and I had to stop, and I'm hoping that I can just like get my thoughts out and hopefully it makes sense. I feel like naturally using social media, that when it first started, because it was so new, everyone had nothing to lose. So they, like I felt such freedom. I felt like a bird, just flying, just putting things out. And I think it becomes very tricky when something becomes your job. It changes the dynamic of it. And it's even, related with like art, when you start monetizing off of like something that was a passion or something that just kind of you did for fun or didn't overthink it. And I feel in this like weird position. So obviously have so much privilege in my, wow, I want to put my top down. I have so much privilege in my life. Like, I think the social media has enabled me to just do so many different things, especially when it comes to modeling. I feel when I first started trying to get into modeling, no one took me seriously. Like, modeling is always, it's a combination of like, the politics, the look that's in at the moment. There's just so many different aspects that are so outside of your hands. And I remember that I would like go to these agencies and stuff, and I would be like, hey, I'm Cynthia, blah, 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 and stuff. And people would be like, oh, you have a great look, but like your look is just not in. And, like, I guess there weren't really that many like girls of color within the modeling space, or they would say stuff like, we already have someone that looks like you. And then I would go onto their page and it literally would be like someone that looked completely different to me. I think the positive thing about social media, if it's something that you kind of like use outside of just like sharing your, like messaging your friends, you know what I mean? Like keeping in touch with people, but actually using it as a tool. I think it's amazing that we're able to kind of like have the ability to create our own narrative and put ourselves out there. So I respect it in that way. And so much of the things that I've been able to do with, modeling and like social media, like influencing, I quite literally just like fell into influencing. And I think it's really helped me tap into that creative side of me. I've always had a love for fashion, and I love kind of being in the middle and being able to like bring people together and like connect with like people. Like I even remember when I did student exchange like quite a while ago, at the time, like guys, do you ever think about your younger self and you just go, what the hell? Like, she was so ballsy. Like, she just did what she wanted. She did what she wanted. She said what she wanted within reason. But I remember, I just had this flashback. I remember when I went on student exchange, I at the time, like, blogging had just become a thing. At the time, I was following Gary Pepper girl, Nicole Warren. And there was also this other girl that I followed called Kcha. So I loved reading their blogs. I kind of want blogs to come back. Anyways, let me stay on track. And anyways, I got an exchange, and we had this huge like forum for all the exchange students, and I literally I just put a message in and I said, hey guys, my name's Cynthia Taylu. I'm from Australia. I'm really interested in like doing modeling and like blogging. If anyone wants to connect, here's my blog. I just chucked the link of my blog in the group chat, but it wasn't the group chat. It was literally like, I don't even know, like 200 students from all over the world. And I did not for a second second guess myself. I just was like, well, why not? Like, if there's someone who could potentially like help me out, or someone that I can connect with, like that was the energy that I had when I was younger. And yeah, and I know that even being away and all the people that I like shot with and getting into this industry wouldn't have been possible without social media. But here's the problem. Well, it's not the problem, but here's the thing. In January, I just was wigging out hardcore. Like, I was finding that I was just like overthinking everything. And I kind of feel like what I've come to realize, that there's an aspect of, to be able to use social media and like as a creator, you kind of need to not like overthink it. Like obviously like being mindful of like I'm obviously never going to like say things that are against my morals. I'm not going to be like, I find it so weird when people like comment really like hateful things towards even celebrities. It's like, you literally don't know that person. You don't know like what they're going through. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a difference between calling someone out and being like, hey, like you said this and that's like inappropriate, or compared to just like picking on someone. Like, I find that wild. Like, what the hell? Like, imagine going onto someone's page and just being like, you're ugly, or being like the only reason you're here is because of your mum. I just find that like so wild. So obviously I would like never ever do that, because it's just not who I am. But I think there's an aspect of social media to effectively like use it and have fun with it. And I look at, you know, different personalities that I follow and people that I really like, is that there's like an air of like fearlessness to it. And I have very much so been lacking that. I feel like I've been struggling to really like own my space, you know? It's like I kind of look at social media as like, say for example, you have an empty room. You walk into the room, you assess the room, you decide what you want to do with the room, you furnish it, you know, invite some people in, you spend time in that room, you decide what you want the room to be, and you don't let someone else come in and tell you what that room should be, or whether or not the fact that you've designed something a specific way is good or it's not. You kind of like stand there and you back yourself and you go, no, actually I really like this wallpaper. I really like this wallpaper, and I've decided that I'm gonna deck the floors to the ceiling with that wallpaper. And I feel like that is like the recipe about social media, and I have very much so been lacking that. I think that I had this weird moment recently where I think I've just been like comparing myself to other people. And it's not even necessarily that you like look at others and you go, oh, I want this life. But I think it's a weird thing that like our generation in society is experiencing, that our parents didn't, that you didn't have this app or this like, you know, portal that you could go in and literally see like 100 of the people that you've ever met in your life and what they're doing. Like, it's kind of, it's high-key weird, right? That you can see what Brittany's doing, what Phoebe's doing, what Tom's doing, that Amy has a child and Brad and his wife, you know what I mean? Like, it's really weird. And I think even like the strongest people and people who like just don't care, also, that in a sense, I feel like social media is kind of like made to compare yourself to like other people. And obviously you can kind of help yourself by, you know, putting in tools to not get sucked into that like whole vortex and or whatnot. But it's I feel like I have so many conversations with friends and people that I know of like comparing themselves. Like, I even went onto Facebook the other day. I've actually been on Facebook quite a bit recently, and I saw that so many of my friends or people that I haven't spoken to in like literal years that I went to high school with, so many people have kids now. And I've always wanted kids. I want kids. However, I've always thought that was going to be like quite like a bit later for me. But I for the first time ever felt like I kind of was like behind in life. And I know this sounds crazy because like I think now obviously we just have like people are kind of having kids like a bit later, but I low-key have like been thinking about it, and it kind of made me reflect on how right now in my life, like I'm not even close to having kids. Like, I don't even like say have like a serious partner that I'm, you know, that I'm like, oh, I like me and this person are working towards this. Like, that is just so, that's just like not in my reality. And it's not that I freaked out, but I just kind of felt like I was behind in life, which is so crazy. And it was only just because I literally was just like went onto Facebook to do something and then saw that like literally 10 people that I went to school with have had kids. So then I kind of had this weird predicament at the beginning of the year where I was feeling like I wasn't really going hard on anything. Like, I just was feeling unsure of like what I wanted to post, what I wanted to share, what I wanted to keep to myself, and then also just like freaking myself out because I was like cringing at myself and just kind of like not really going hard on anything. You know what I mean? Which then it's kind of, sometimes I feel like it's like if you're not gonna just like put yourself out there on whatever you're wanting to do, like take social media out of the way, then it's like, what's the point of doing it? You know what I mean? And I feel like I've just had like so many conversations starting this podcast again, or season 3. It's really been playing on my mind because I have felt I've just been taking it all too seriously at the end of the day. And I think that I just haven't been having fun with it. And I felt a bit like me putting people on a pedestal who don't post or don't share or like work outside of social media. And I think naturally when you've worked in a space for a long time that you can kind of become very like critical of it, you know what I mean? But then also I say that like me judging myself and being like, oh my God, should I post this? Should I not post this? You know what I mean? But then I also love it when people just like manic post, like not manic post, but I love it when people just like freely post, like they just like they don't care about the algorithm. And I back it so much when people are able to just like share what they're doing and just do it so like freely. Like it feels like when people kind of interact with socials in that very like fun, free way, which is how it started, and not make it into such a, I don't know if I'm articulating myself right, but not overcomplicate it. And I think that I've just been overcomplicating it a lot. But also I think it's natural to have these thoughts of just like being perceived. Being perceived is uncomfortable and it feels weird because we're like ever evolving. If anything, it feels like maybe 1 minute I might know who I am and then 2 seconds later I've changed. And so it sometimes using social media kind of feels like you're in a classroom with people and you're like awkwardly like showing them this like transitional you, and then you reach to a place that you feel really good and then something else happens and then then you become that like awkward 12-year-old again, and then you reach, you know what I mean? I think it just gets a bit trippy that you're constantly like trial and error of like showing these like different versions of yourself, and then sometimes you let go of that old version of yourself, but then it's still out there in the world, and it kind of like, I don't know, and then you kind of like cringe yourself out. Anyways, I don't even know if I'm like making sense at all, but this is just a topic and something that has been on my mind. I am trying to push myself to just, yes, it's really great to like be introspective and blah, 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 but I'm trying to push myself to stop being less introspective and just go for it and just use social media. You know what I mean? Because the more that I think about things, the more that I become stunted. And I think a lot of it falls on me trying to be perfect, me trying to put out an image that I feel that, people want to see, or that, or content that I feel like people are going to be receptive to, rather than just like trying and seeing what happens and experimenting. I was talking to someone close to me and they said that I was saying how I was feeling a bit overwhelmed about the year because I want it to be like my year of work and grinding and all of that. And they were like, rather than focusing on it being your year, why don't you just focus on this being the year that you experiment the most? And it felt like a light bulb moment when that person said that. I was like, you were so right. Because a lot of the times it's like you can't control how people are going to perceive you or what people are going to take from like what you say, post, do, whatnot. Anyways, I just spoke for however long about that. So, and I don't have a clear way to end this episode apart from I've been cringing at myself a little bit. And I'm still trying to figure out how to effectively use social media and also just keep your sanity. Although I will share two main things that I've done, which I think have helped. When I post, I usually delete the app if I'm feeling really overstimulated. I think that just helps to be able to just put things out into, the universe, world, app, whatever it is, and kind of let go. It kind of, I feel like sometimes deleting the app feels like an act of just letting go. And also I have a timer thing on my phone that I think I can only spend 2 hours a day or something like that. And so whenever I'm going over that, it will tell me, or it will close the app, and you have to actively extend your time on the app to use it. Sometimes it doesn't work because then sometimes I just sit there and do whatever, but that has really helped. And also when I wake up, making sure that going on socials is not the first thing that I do, at least giving myself 30 minutes to an hour, although sometimes it can be hard because I find myself being I just want to delete the app and just go away, and then I have to go and post something, or I have to get something from it because it's work. You know what I mean? It's I don't know, it's weird. But I feel like this is, even if say social media is not your job, I feel like everyone experiences this to an extent. It's not normal for us to look at ourselves every day or see images of ourselves every day at every angle, and to also see images of other people and videos of other people like every single day. It's not normal. And I feel like as a collective that I think we're all just like trying to figure out how to use this damn app and also stay sane and not compare ourselves to other people, but also be, you know, in our own lanes and try different things and like not feed too much into trends. And I don't even know. I don't know. But anyways, we're back. Excited for the season. Next week, we're going to have a very special guest. So tune in. And also one last thing. It would mean the world to me if you could please rate us on... And here I am. I literally just talked about an episode about like algorithm and ratings and blah, blah, blah. But here I am asking you guys if you're able to go on Spotify or iTunes and leave a review and rate. I kind of, me cringing at myself. I kind of hate that there's an aspect of that. Of like, you know, when you start something and you're wanting to get the word out there, that it's like you need those numbers and whatnot. Anyways, but if you're able to go onto Spotify and iTunes and rate us, review us, that does help. But yeah, first episode, a bit clunky, I feel. But yes, that was my January. Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening. Bye.